Today's show is dedicated to the work friends of justice. You've heard of the golden age of comic books, with the likes of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman from the 1930s to the 1950s. Well, the work friends of justice were a much lesser-known group of superheroes in what was dubbed the aluminum foil era of comic books, from September of 1951 to late September of 1951. This group of loosely associated comic book heroes all worked at the same diner, and all pretended to be friends just enough to work together. Some of these less than valiant heroes include the Barista Bunny, Paperclip Man, Corporal Sneeze, Lady Windex, the Shard, the Strep Throat Kid, the Strep Throat Kid's friend, Turtle Woman, the Woman Turtle, Layla Loose Change, the Step Twins, and Carl. Needless to say, the work friends of justice never really took off in the comic book world. Probably because none of them can fly. And probably because there was only one villain, the Inside Joker, and his evil sidekick, the Evil Sidekick. And so, after only 3 issues as a comic and 3 more napkin drafts after that, the work friends of justice were no more. On paper, it was the Inside Joker that did them all in, when he stormed into their diner one day, jumped on the counter, and screamed, "Aren't you just a bunch of ukuleles without the canned peaches?" Get it? Get it? Each superhero died that day because none of them were in on the joke. They died from social awkwardness. But some say the real demise of the work friends of justice happened when co-creators Kendall and Teresa Blubbernut simply ran out of paper and pens and stopped drawing them all. So rest in peace, work friends of justice. We should definitely catch up soon. But I know we won't. I'm not even actually entering your number into my phone. Rest in peace. Hello, you. Welcome, 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 one and all, to another edition of Several Stories High. I hope this recording finds you well, wherever you are. Driving down the road, maybe washing the dishes. Maybe washing the dishes while you're driving down the road. Who am I to judge? As always, I am excited that you have tuned in to listen to another story of mine from my weird imagination. Today we got one called Rule of Thumb, if you haven't read the episode title. And it takes place in one of my favorite times of U.S. history, Prohibition, where gangsters were kings and kings were gangsters. And if I'm not mistaken, this episode will be the last one before the Halloween season starts. I love Halloween. I don't know about you. And I like to celebrate early. I'm talking January. No. But really, October 1st, from there is where I like to start, celebrating and whatnot. I like it because it gives me an excuse to be into scary stuff. So, as I said, after this episode, all the other things that I'll release, probably up until Halloween, will be either scary or, themed, October themed, let's put it that way. I'm not saying it's all going to be horror, but it'll kind of be in that theme. It could be, humorous horror. It could be humorous horror, or it could be a little more mysterious, but just want to let you know that we might have a little bit of a shift, and I'm excited for it. So, without further ado, I guess the only thing left to say is, you're listening to Several Stories High. I'm Nathaniel David Knox, and I've got a story to tell you. It's called Rule of Thumb. Shall we begin? Welcome to Several Stories High, a narrative podcast featuring original stories from all corners of the spectrum. Fiction, fact, or perhaps more appropriately, somewhere in the great galaxies between. I'm Nathaniel David Knox. Let's see how high we can climb. You know, I'm going to tell you something. Mayor Thurgood Thumb was no saint. He was a mayor. Hence the thing I just said. But how many public officials weren't on the take during Prohibition? How many big wigs didn't accept bribes or kickbacks or free or much bigger wigs? How many leaders didn't swap buckets of white paint in exchange for the sexier yellow on the sly, huh? 7. But I wasn't lucky enough to work for any of those stand-up exceptions. I was assistant to Mayor Thumb himself. How exactly I managed to keep my sanity as his crony, I'll never know. I recall one of my last nights with him. Not long ago, matter of fact. We just seen that new Swanson film at the Duck Street Theater. With some labor consultants, mind you. It was the one about Custer's last one-night stand and a lawsuit that soon followed. Remember the alimony. Great film, that one. The mayor was impressed with the dialogue and voice work, especially given the fact that it was a silent film. Afterwards, I drove Mayor Thumb back to his office to, how should I say this? Lock away the big bag of bribe money that was just given to us by those gangster labor consultants? Yeah. Once inside, I flicked on the lights. When the room lit up, Mayor Thumb was already in his chair, drunk and drooling. Then I realized something. I didn't want to be a hired lackey no more. And why should I? There were guys in every city across America taking matters into their own hands. Guys like Capone and Dillinger and Shoonie Bumbleboop, all making names for themselves, even though their parents are getting them all perfectly good ones to begin with. I looked at the safe as I held the bag of cash. I was tempted, not gonna lie. But before I could make my move, Mayor Thumb spoke.
Hey, idiot.
My real name's George, obviously, but I gotta admit, I'd grown accustomed to answering to that cute, heartfelt nickname he'd given me, so I answered him. Yes, sir.
Any news on them blasted prosecutors?
Yes, sir, I spoke to our legal team this morning, I said, nervously inching my way towards the door, hoping he was too drunk to notice.
Well?
Looks like the DA is gonna hand down the indictment soon, I said.
On what charges?
Let's see here, we got corruption, bookmaking, loan sharking, loaning a book to a shark, illegal and legal gambling, receiving illegal legal advice, and fixing water horse races, sir.
My God, that's absurd,
he said between hiccups. Yeah, I'm real sorry, sir.
Sure, I do some sketchy things. But how else am I gonna be a great pencil artist, huh? And why would I fix those water horse races? They weren't even broken. Them races have been my bread and butter for years.
That reminds me, I said. The feds may try and seize your assets as well, including your father-in-law's bakery and dairy farm.
Why?
They think you're using it as a front for money laundering, sir.
Those savages. Don't they know I got a guy for that? Does excellent work on my shirts, too. That does it. Call our friends. You know, the ones that take care of these things for us.
The friends he was referring to was guys like Aaron Frankendorfer. Aaron with an A at the first name, Aaron with an E on the nickname. AKA the city's most ruthless mobster and part-time ticket taker at the Duck Street Theater. What do I say? I asked the mayor.
I'm not gonna take this lying down, or in any position for that matter. I need to do something drastic. Something that'll show this city I'm not one to be truffled with.
He paused and then he snapped his finger.
That's it. The thumbs. The thumbs, sir? The thumbs! From here on out, anybody who opposes us will lose their thumbs. You tell him that.
Okay.
My ancestors were royalty, you know. One of them, a distant mailman on my mother's side, was at one point the king of Spain. You wanna know how he kept that country in line back in his day?
How? I said, sweating.
The thumbs,
He said, making a cutting motion with 2 fingers.
yeah. From now on, you cross me a thumb and you'll lose yours.
The mayor yawned and sat back down and dozed off. And I crept out of the room like a cat. Like a cat with forbidden bribe money in its paws. It's been weeks since I stole the mayor's money, and I couldn't be happier to be alive, tell you the truth. Right now, I'm on the highway just outside of town. Penniless. But I'm hoping to hitch a ride far away from here real soon. And I bet you this. I probably would have hitchhiked halfway to Mexico by now if the hand I got in the air still had a thumb attached to it. Today's episode of Several Stories High was written, composed, and produced by me. Oh, God. What's happening? I can't shake the accent. Sorry, folks. Let me try something. Let me drink something.
There we go. Today's episode of Several Stories High was written, composed, and produced by me, Kenneth the Grey. Sorry.
Oh, man. Sorry, everybody. Sometimes the accents don't exactly leave my system in time. I don't know why I was talking like that. J.R.R. Tolkien. Okay, I'm sorry. Today's episode of Several Stories High was written, composed, and produced by me, Nathaniel David Knox. Thank you so much for listening. You can learn more about me and the show over at severalstorieshigh.com. Subscribe for free wherever you get your podcasts. And if you happen to have iTunes or another site that offers reviews, do consider leaving one, because every single one really helps. After all, was it not Cleopatra herself that said, "Listen to Several Stories High. Like it, love it, subscribe and share, oh yeah! Now build more pyramids, and this time make them triangles." Yeah, she probably said that. I don't see why not. And lastly, remember to keep up with the show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's all at SSHpod, or Shpod if you prefer. Just remember there's 2 S's. Until next time, I'm Nathaniel David Knox, and thank you so much for listening.